Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial we will see how to load only new files in SSIS. So this is my profile. I have 10 plus years of experience on Microsoft technologies, especially in SSIS and SSRS. So the agenda of today's video tutorial is how to load only new files using SSIS. We will create a SQL table named TBL log in a particular SQL Server database, and then after loading each file we will store the path of the file to that particular SQL table, so that every time before loading any new file we will check if the file is already loaded or not. So if the file will not be loaded, only then we will load the file, otherwise we will skip that particular file. So without wasting further time, let's jump to the demo. Alright, so I have SQL Server 2016 Developer Edition installed on my machine. Okay, so for this particular demo, we will be using two tables. The first one is test data, that will contain the actual data that will be loaded from the CSV file. The second file will be the tbl underscore logs. It will store the files loaded by the SSIS package, like the flat file name and then the records loaded and the time when if a particular file was loaded. So we will be using these two tables. So we have right now we have four CSV files at this particular location, C files. So using an SSIS package, we will be loading all files from this particular location, and then we will try to add more files to this particular location, and then we will see that only the new files should be loaded. Okay, so let me jump to the SQL Server Data Tools 2015 that I will be using to create the SSIS package. Let me create three SSIS variables. Those will be used during processing of the SSIS package. So right click and then click variables. The first variable I'm going to create is file path. It will actually store the path of the file being loaded, and then for the initialization I can give the path of any file. So let me provide some initial value to it. Then I can create an SIS variable named records loaded. It will store the records loaded by a particular CSV file. The third SSIS variable will be is file already loaded. So if a CSV file is already loaded, so it will store some value here. So if the value will be non-zero, it means that file is already loaded. Otherwise, if the value is zero, that then it means that the file is not loaded and we can proceed with loading it. Okay. Now, first of all, let me drag and drop and execute SQL task, and then I can name it like prepare tables. Right click on it, click edit, and then make a connection to the training database SQL Server 2016 instance. So select it, and then under SQL statement we can actually copy and paste this particular command. So this command, what it is doing, that every time the package will run, it will drop the test data table, and then it will recreate it, and then it will check if the tbl logs is not exist on it on the server, then it will create it. Okay, so let me copy paste it. All right, and then let me drag and drop a for each loop container here. Right click and then configure the for each loop container. Under collection, the enumerator is for each file enumerator, which is fine. And then under folders, browse to the C files folder. Okay, and then file type, let's change it to star.csv so that it can load only CSV files. Under variable mapping, we can point to the file path. So every time the the loop will iterate through files, it will change the value of the file path. Click OK. And now let me drag and drop a data flow task into the for each loop container, and then go to the data flow task. So let me open and show you the data for the CSV file. So it contains data like for ID, first name, last name, gender, and company name. Okay, and then let me use the flat file source to pull the data from the CSV file. Right click, edit it, click new, and then browse to the file. From text type, change it to CSV files. Open. You can preview data here, so data looks good. Click OK. You can preview data here as well. navigate to columns. So these are the columns from the flat file. Click OK. And because we want to store and cache the number of records loaded, so we can use a row count transformation. Connect the output from flat file source with the row count transformation. Click edit and then select the variable records loaded so that it can cache the records loaded to SQL Server table. Click OK. And then under the other destination, we can select the OLEDB destination. Connect the output from row count with the input to the OLEDB destination. And then select the table here. So the table name is test data. You can navigate to mappings and then make sure that all columns from source are mapped with the destination columns. Click OK. So we have configured this data flow task. And now right click on the flat file connection manager, go to properties, then under expressions select the connection string property and then select the flat file path. This is we are doing to change the connection of the flat file with the iteration of the for each loop container. So every time the for each loop container will iterate through new files, it will change the connection to the CSV file as well, because earlier the connection was static but now the connection is dynamic. Okay, and now to store the file loaded to a SQL Server table, let's drag and drop an execute SQL task. Connect the data flow task with the execute SQL task. We can say it like do login. Okay, and then right click edit it, change the connection to the training database, and then let me write an insert statement for the TBL logs. First of all, let me drop this table. If the table was here, then it can drop it. Okay, and then drop the other table as well, test data. Okay, now I can write an inserted statement for the TBL logs. Okay, the first column ID is an identity field, the second one is step name, so I can select file loaded, and then the other one is file path, file name. So I can write anything, file name. I will replace it with the SSIS variable. Records loaded, I can select 100, and then the time when a particular record was loaded. Then I can copy it, and if I want to see the data, so it should be okay. Right now the table is not there. Okay, I can copy this one, and then under the expressions select the SQL statement source and then paste it between the double quotes, and then for the file name you can actually cache the value from the flat file path SSIS variable, and then for the number of records you can actually replace this particular value with the records loaded SSIS variable, and because it is of string type, so you need to typecast it to dt underscore wstr comma 12. Evaluate expression got evaluated successfully. Click OK. Okay, okay. Alright, so this is we created basic package actually, and then go to properties and set the delay validation to true so that the package can run. So this is a very basic package which can actually load all files from the C files directory. So right now there are 4 files here. So if you will right click and execute the package, so it should load the 4 files. Okay, the package ran fine, and if you will check the logs, then you can see that it loaded 4 files, and then these are the records loaded for it. So right now it can load all files from a particular location, and now we need to load only the new files from this particular location. Alright, so we can write a select query here to check if a file is already processed or not. Select count star from tbl logs where flat file name equal to, for example, this one. Okay, so it will return a value like 1. Then what we can do is go back to the SQL Server data tools, stop the execution of the package, and then we can put a new execute SQL task just before loading the data. So we can use an execute SQL task here. We can call it like check if file already loaded, and then right click, edit it. Under connection, select the training database connection, and then from the expressions, select SQL statement source, and then you can write your query here. Okay, so we can replace this hard-coded flat file path with the flat file variable, file path variable. Okay, so that every time the iteration will run, it will check if a file is already loaded or not. So it will return the count, and then we can actually store the count returned from it. Under result set, we can select single row, and then we can under result set click the result set name as 0, and then we can store the result returned from it inside the is file already loaded. So a non-zero value means the file is already loaded, and a 0 means the file is not loaded. Click OK, and then connect it with the data flow task. Right click on it, select edit. Under evaluation operation, select expression and constraint, and then from expression type select this one, and then you can drag and drop the is file already loaded, and you can write like is file already loaded is 0, evaluate expression. So okay, so we will check if is file already loaded is 0, then we will proceed with loading the file, otherwise we won't load the file. Click OK. So what this particular precedence constant will do, that if the file will already be loaded, then it won't load it, otherwise it will load it. So now if you will rerun the SSIS package, then it should not do anything, because the files are already loaded, so it won't load any further file. So if you want to load only the new file, then what we can do is that let me go back to this one, and then we can select the data from TBL logs, and you can see. So right now you can see that we have loaded only 4 files, and now go back to this particular location. I have 2 more files here, customer 5 and customer 6. So for example, if you are loading files with a particular date timestamp, so each day file should have different date, so we can easily figure out what are the new files. So we can paste the new files here. So now we pasted 2 new files, 5 and 6. Alright, and we have loaded so far only 4 files. So if you will rerun the SSIS package, then it should load only the file 5 and file 6. Okay, so you can rerun this particular query again, and then you can see that the last 2 files loaded were the file 5, customer 5 and customer 6. Okay, and it has not loaded the preloaded files again. So this is how we can load only the differential file. And now if you will try to rerun the package again, then it won't do anything. Okay, so this is one of the methods that I personally use to figure out what are the new files. And then you might think that over a period of years, if the size of the file will grow, then what you can do, you can create some index on this particular field, flat file name, so that the select query will be very faster. Okay, thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button and do subscribe to our channel to see more videos and exercise and other technologies. Thank you so much.